Amid increased immigration enforcement and widespread deportation, Texas is making it harder for foreign workers to obtain temporary legal status. This week on Inside the Investigation, investigative reporter Matt Grant found Texans' tax dollars are likely still supporting the system some state leaders criticize. Welcome to Inside the Investigation. I'm investigative reporter Kelly Wiley, and I'm here with my colleague Matt Grant. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. Today you're going to be talking about your investigation where you looked into H-1B visas in Texas. First off, tell us about H-1B visas. What is it and why is it so controversial?
Well, the H-1B visa program, first of all, it's important to understand this is a federal program. It's not state-based, it's a federal system. And it allows employers to temporarily hire highly skilled foreign workers that maybe they couldn't find locally or in the United States. It's a lottery system, so not everyone is going to be accepted, and it's capped at 85,000 visas per year. In September, President Trump made it harder for these companies to apply by adding on a $100,000 application fee. And critics like Governor Abbott have argued that the program can be ripe for abuse, that it can be exploited by companies that are looking to hire cheap labor at the expense of American jobs that he says should be filled by Texans first. And that's why in January, the governor issued a freeze on all state agencies and public universities from applying to this lottery system through spring of next year. Supporters, though, say, look, this program is really helpful. It allows companies to compete globally, especially with AI, and that the state and that the country should want to attract the best and the brightest talent from around the world, because if they don't, they'll be recruited elsewhere. So you have these two opposing viewpoints about this system that is federal, it's a lottery system, and it's been around for a while.
Okay, so we've kind of got the base here. So despite the freeze, you found Texans' taxpayer dollars are helping support the system that state leaders are criticizing. Talk us through that.
Yeah, so my colleague David Barrera and we combed through data, and we found that Texas, through taxpayer dollars, is paying billions on state contracts with private companies that heavily rely on these H-1B visas, the same visas that the governor has criticized. And these companies perform vital work for the state, IT systems. Some of them are the largest technology and consulting companies that use the largest number, that hire the largest number of H-1B visa workers in the country, and they have some of the largest contracts with the state, although it's not clear how many of those employees are actually doing work for the state because the state doesn't track it. But those contracts have remained untouched despite the governor's January freeze.
So we've got the governor criticizing the H-1B visas and what it can mean for Texas workers, but at the same time, the contracts they're giving out are to companies that are utilizing this in high numbers.
Exactly.
So and you mentioned that it's still not clear though if the employees who have H-1B visas within these state contracts are actually the ones doing the work for the state. Is that something the state wants to track? What's the governor's position on these state contract workers?
We asked several times. A spokesperson for the governor didn't answer. Instead, they pointed us to a press release and a letter that the governor sent in January to state agency heads. And the press release said, quote, state government must lead by example. So while these are private companies, the Governor Abbott is saying that on a state level, we need to lead by example.
Not talking about the state contracts, but just talking about the department jobs, that we need to start there.
Exactly. The letter and the press release did not mention tracking workers at private companies that may have these state contract dollars attached to it.
So where do things go from here? Because he was pretty strong on the fact that he thinks Americans should be getting these jobs. where do things go from here?
Well, the issue is not going to go away, and it's probably just going to be heating up over the next several months and into the next year. So the governor's freeze lasts until May 31st of 2027. So it will at least be until that date. In the meantime, the Texas House has announced an interim charge to look at H-1B use around the state. The charge is specifically related to security concerns, concerns about foreign influence, and so that's something that lawmakers will begin looking at. And it's unclear how it will affect the program or if there will be any new directives or potential legislation coming out of that, but that's certainly something we'll be looking at the Capitol, especially as lawmakers head into the new session next year.
Matt, why the May 31st deadline?
Well, this is just speculating, but this year the lottery system went from early to mid-March. So next year it would prevent state agencies and public universities from applying for a second year in a row, and it would get them through the legislative session so lawmakers can start looking at this and potentially introducing legislation as they study this issue. But yeah, it would prevent them from applying also next year. So that may be one reason why he was thinking.
Matt, thank you so much for following this issue. And I know it sounds like there's going to be more for you to follow in the legislative session. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You can watch all new episodes of Inside the Investigation on the KXAN Plus app every Friday starting at 1 p.m. Just search for KXAN on your preferred streaming devices, such as Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can also listen to KXAN's Investigative podcast, where we feature audio versions of our weekly Inside the Investigation episodes. You can find new episodes every Saturday morning wherever you get podcasts. Just search for KXAN Investigates.